Welcome back to the Sydney Spectacular. Standard 100K. We're down to the pointy end here, Sam.
Yeah.
Only 8 players left. Quarter-final time, and we have got a doozy coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're running it back from earlier in the day. We have Bassa versus Jose.
Yep.
Now, Bassa took it down earlier. In fact, Bassa topped the Swiss, so he will be on the play for us here.
He will.
Who do you have?
Well, I have to say, Jose won our Invitational on Friday. He's running hot. He's got the double in his sights. He said, this wasn't enough. I want more. He's my pick. How about you?
Well, I guess in that case, we can't agree. I'm going with Bassa. He's been running hot all weekend, and the reason he's been running hot, first of all, he was on coverage doing a great job. That was great. Also, he looks hot. That also helps.
Yep.
And then the third thing, he's playing a real deck.
Yeah, finally, for the first time, he's taken the weights off. He did say to me today, he said, wow, Magic's so much easier when you just play the good cards.
Right?
He said, this Paros deck's really good. What have I been doing? He has taken the jacket off, I see, taken the outer shirt off. So things are getting serious.
Yeah, it's getting warm in here. People are getting hot and heavy, ready to play for the 20K.
Now, our top 8 is Jose on Jeskai, Lessons. We've got Max playing Mono Green Landfall. And then 6 Prowess decks.
6 Prowess decks.
Which is the other reason I am hoping Jose wins. I just want to see the Prowess decks taken down a notch.
Having commentated a couple of Prowess mirrors today, I do quite like them, and they have a little bit of different texture in their deck construction.
Yep.
That being said, we'll bring you the variety while we can.
Yeah, correct. I think those matches are actually really intricate, really interesting ones, especially with players who know what they're doing. They know what's going on in these matches. They've done a lot of thinking, and talking to some of those players, there's a really wide variety in how you approach that matchup. But as you say, we're going to give you the variety while we can. And I think Jose's deck, from what I've seen throughout the weekend, he did lose to Nathan. Bassa did beat him in this matchup. But overall, I think he has looked pretty good into these Prowess decks, able to just go a little bit bigger, control the game, and then take over when the first revelation resolves.
Yeah, absolutely. Jose was expecting to play a bunch of Prowess. In fact, there's a bunch of his teammates on Prowess in this top 8. So he's had his testing against it. As we have Nathan leading us off with first the op, but then the plotted slick shot show off.
Yep.
Jose playing a little bit more conservatively, as his deck would insist.
Yeah, absolutely. And plotting that slick shot is really key. That's just going to sort of loom over the game. It really says to Jose, okay, you have to respect this. You need to hold up mana to at least threaten to have a removal spell. Or I can just put it in play and try and get some damage going.
We're just going for it. Interestingly enough, Bassa does not have the third land in hand, and maybe this is influencing the decision here.
Yeah, it just says, you know what, I need to push forward a little bit here, try and get some damage in. Present 2 threats in 1 turn, which is quite powerful. Burst Lightning upstairs.
Burst Lightning you. Okay, I think one of the reasons that we've seen that is there is a flow state in Bassa's hand, right?
Yeah.
So he will potentially be casting that next turn to solve his mana issues.
Yeah, unfortunately at the moment, only instance. Drew the wrong cantrip, so not quite enabling the flow state yet. We'll have to find a sorcery to turn that on properly, but might still just be forced into casting Anticipate.
Yeah, I would think that's likely. So we got 2 lessons in the bin there. Tablet of Discovery, the ramp piece, the thing you want to do on 3 every single game with this lessons deck.
Yeah, this card is a lot. It's so much mana. It's a huge jump forwards. And also, especially if we see, it doesn't look like Jose's hand is cooperating at the moment. Just a couple revelations there. So we might have a quiet turn or 2 potentially. But Bassa doesn't know that. And he also is spinning his wheels a little bit.
Okay, he's found the Spy Bluff Canal though.
In for a couple points with the Otter. The hand a little bit clunky, looks like. There's 1 spell there, but it's a removal spell with no target. And then we saw, I think, a Horse and an Eddie Merc Crab as well. So more threats coming. Vibrant Outburst, the final card. But not quite the spells he would prefer. Jose, land, pass. But you know what's terrifying about this? Next turn, he can have 7 mana.
Yeah, this is the thing, right? Like, Jose, a long way from casting his 7 drops until... Actually, no, he's not.
Yep, suddenly puts a mana rock and play the taps for 2 mana, and it's a lot closer.
Pretty mental. Combustion Technique was the draw for the turn there, so he has the potential to tamp down some of the damage he would be taking this turn.
And this, of course, open deck list. And as you say, these players actually work together. There's 4 of them from the same house in this top 8, in fact.
Crazy.
Having a look at the list, 1 Spell Pierce in the main. That's the only thing Jose has to think about with this revelation. So we might just see that fired off.
Yeah, let me ask you a question there, Ian. Given that you got 2 in hand, do you just run into the Spell Pierce? I mean, obviously the odds of him having it are not extreme, but what do you think? How do you value it?
I would be pretty inclined to just play my land, pass back, jam the first one in upkeep. The worst case is Bassa has the Spell Pierce, and then you get to untap and slam the second one. He can't counter both of them. He only has 1 Spell Pierce.
That is true.
And the other thing is, the hand for Jose just isn't really shaping up. Okay, well, he's going to tap out in my turn. Right now is when I'm doing it. Also, we get to see the tap mode here of Vibrant Outburst, which forces Jose to act right now.
Yeah,
Apologies, only taps creatures. But even so, he is tapped out, so we're just going to take the opportunity to resolve our scary 7-mana spell.
Yeah, I think at this position, right? Like, given the first Jeskai revelation is often to find more gas.
Yep.
That getting it just to resolve it all when you're offered the opportunity is just totally worth it. Now, the monks are super important as well. They close out these games. That's why we see these decks close so quick. So, having those in play really makes Bassa consider his positioning in this matchup. Maybe he needs to pump the brakes.
Yes. And it's a really difficult spot to be in, right? You feel pressure to your life total from these monks. Pressure in terms of Jose has drawn more cards. He's gained life if to undo your pressure. It's a really tough spot to be in. You generally don't want your opponent to resolve Revelation.
Yeah.
Great analysis, really. This is
Look,
what,
I mean, look,
after a whole weekend.
we found the inside. What you don't want to do is lose games to Revelation.
Yeah,
Too bad, though. Jose's going to do it to you.
Yeah, Jose, pretty good Magic. He's found the spot. And now we get to see him start to pump up these monks and just continue to churn through cards, find powerful interaction pieces. That quench there, potentially really good when your opponent only has 3 lands.
Well, particularly in this position where Bassa, that we know, has a Eddie Crab in hand, the mana only just to cast it. The quench is just a hard counter in this position.
Yeah, exactly. Bassa on the back foot, that quench is going to be really painful, and then these monks just going to come in for a low damage. And more gas in the hand for Jose, and more ability to fill up as well. Ancestral Wisdom currently turned on. We can draw 3 cards with that.
Yeah. We're gonna accumulate exactly what we can, and that is a lot of knowledge and wisdom. So Quench hits it. We get to 3 power each.
Yep.
And it looks like we're going all the way to 4, just for the low cost of drawing 3.
And this is something we've seen Jose do across the weekend. Is when he pivots aggressively. He could hold up here and say, well, I'm going to hold up removal. I'm going to hold up interaction. I'm going to hold this accumulate wisdom until the end of your turn.
Yep.
But instead recognizes, you know what? I might as well get my free shock. Get some free damage in. Cast it now. Nothing you can do to me is that scary that I can't just react to it on my turn.
Yeah. Who's the best prowess deck now? It's Jose's.
Exactly. And this is where we see as well some of the awkward cards in Nathan's hand from game 1. We saw an Into the Floodmoor there. There's an Impractical Joke. Those are cards that are really for the prowess mirrors. Really well suited there. Not so much for this matchup, and Jose going to close that one out quite quickly, and we move to the sideboards.
Yeah. So great calls there from both players. Not much Bassa could do about that one. We called it pretty early. These guys know each other well. And hey, in the series score, we're now 2 games to Bassa, 1 game to Jose.
Absolutely. Taking a look at Bassa's sideboard, the big heavy hitters to me, the 2 Rails. They're great threats, and also 2 more Eddie Crabs. Unusual, actually. Bassa are playing only 2 of them in the main, the other 2 on the board. We've seen a lot more with 4 crabs in the main, but they are really powerful. The flash threat.
They're fantastic, and it's interesting seeing the commitment to the Color Storm Stallions in the main, Eddie Crabs on the board. We've seen it flip-flop quite a lot.
Yep.
And you see all that work coming in from iterations of these decks over time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the counterspells are the other big things. Negate, Spell Pierce, obviously very important counterspells. Get Out, surprisingly as well. Not so much as a counterspell, though that will sometimes come up. But just picking up your own creatures in response to removal can be really powerful. Picking up your own Storm Chaser's talent, just a really flexible, tricky spell. The other thing to note is that, as we say, these players have played before. They saw how they sideboard last round, and one of the things that we noticed is Jose didn't bring any graveyard interaction, so those crabs are safe, those flow states are pretty safe.
Yeah.
And Bassa can be pretty confident about that.
Well, what do you think? If you're in Jose's seat there, do you decide to mix that up? Do you decide to put them in the washing machine?
I'm pretty tempted, to be honest. I think there's enough that it's close, and that mix-up, maybe getting in Bassa's head if he doesn't expect it, is pretty tempting with that one Ghost Vacuum. For Jose, we've seen Flash Rays come in a little bit.
Yep.
The horse is really important. You just really want to be able to counter that.
Yep.
Spell Pierce is another cheap card, and then Emeritus has been something we've seen him bring in as well.
Yeah, we've seen it in this matchup. He's brought it in pretty aggressively. The sizing is just correct. Being a 5/5 instead of a 4/5 or whatever, super relevant. These crabs are really taking over this tournament this weekend. Yep. I think for my money, this is the sort of matchup that you don't bring in the prices of freedom. What I would like to know from you, though, is Day of Judgment, right?
Yeah.
That is a clean answer to horse. How would you value it?
So this is a really interesting thing because it does affect the way you play the games. And as I said, we played before, and these players have talked. And I believe the quote from Jose was, these cards suck. I'm not bringing them in when they talked after the game.
Okay.
I
so-
think they're just a bit awkward because you're right. They can clean
Yeah.
up horses and they can clean up crabs as well, which are otherwise a little bit difficult for the deck to remove. Because we will see Nathan as well bring in a couple Soul Guide Lanterns, which
Sure.
can really mute the effectiveness of those combustion techniques, which are the main way to remove crabs, right?
Yep.
But it's just such an awkward card. Almost everything has haste or flash. You know, the horses have haste. The crabs have flash, so they probably get in one hit before you can Day of Judgment them. Yeah, you can get the auto tokens, but it doesn't feel great to trade your Day of Judgment for auto tokens. And it's another big, clunky sorcery that is vulnerable to Spell Pierce.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
But
Okay.
that said, as you noted, you know, sometimes the change-up matters a lot. I may be more interested in Avengers Disassembled, for example.
Yeah. Okay.
That change-up can make a difference. As we see here, this is the top 8. So many Steam vents.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
many Steam.
we
24
have,
Steam
we have
vents.
one lone hero left not playing Steam Vents in their deck.
Yep.
I think in this case, right, so Basser at the top of the standings here, he's got to get this game now. Now that we have the break of serve by Jose, the deck
Yeah.
that does not want to be on the draw against the aggressive deck, one game one on the draw.
Yep.
So, you know, really in the driver's
Yeah,
seat
pressure
here.
on him.
Lots of pressure.
The other thing I'd highlight there, so Max is playing Mono Green Landfall. Traditionally not something that we think of as good into a pretty Izzet-dominated field, but he's managed to have a good result with it. One of his teammates as well finished one win outside, finished at 8 and 4.
Yep.
So they both put up good results, and they had some tech. So firstly, I'd say the Izzet deck's moving back to the horses.
Yeah.
We've seen fewer slick shot show-offs. That's the card, and no elusive autos almost. Very few
very
elusive
few
autos.
in the whole tournament.
Those are the two threats that are most scary for Mono Green, and they have been on a downtick as players tech more for the Izzet mirrors. The other thing I saw that was really sweet in the last couple rounds from Max, they have a card that gains life. There's a 2-drop, it's a 2-mana, 2/3. Whenever a land comes into play, it gains a life.
From Edge of Eternities?
Yep.
That's the guy.
Sizes just really well against a lot of the prowess stuff. It
Yeah, it doesn't die to a burst
doesn't
lightning.
die to a burst lightning. It gains life. It blocks pretty well. And I just thought that was really neat tech and a really great example of how you can tune even known decks to improve matchups that previously we didn't think were that good. And
Yep.
he's clearly having success with it.
Well, if you're walking into this room today and you see the density of Izzet in the field,
Yep.
you're going to feel pretty good about it. I think that in particular, you know, Max, a very strong player, you know, recently played a Pro Tour,
Yes.
plays a lot of Hearthstone as far as I'm aware,
Yes.
and doing really well at it. So I think that, you know, our let's call them the good guys. Let's just say that they're the good
no,
guys.
they are. Look, I love Nathan Bass. I love many of the other players in this top 8. But for the purposes of this top 8, I'm sorry, if you're playing Izzet Prowess,
Yeah.
you are the bad guys.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So Jose here on a mulligan to 6.
I believe may have mulligan last game as well. So
Yeah.
the mulligans, especially post-board, we expect these matches to go longer. We've seen a lot of back and forth, which makes the mulligans actually a lot less punishing than they would be in a 4-turn game.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of positions here when you're playing against these aggressive decks as the controlling player. There are some starts that just, you know, they're not going to do it. And if you go like, okay, maybe it's got a mix of lands and spells, but like if I've just only got 2 Revelations and 5 lands, it's going back. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you just can't afford to waste that sort of time into a Color Storm Stallion.
I-
So,
I
you know,
will say we saw Rowan Miller's posturing incredibly in his match, playing Jeskai Control,
Yeah.
drawing nothing but lands for most of the game. Lands and soft counterspells that he couldn't do anything with because his opponent had so many lands.
Yep.
Somehow managed to exude confidence for long enough to just hold his opponent off for far more turns than I would have been able to.
so he just had the aura. He just had the aura.
He did. At one point, he cast Quench against an opponent with 4 mana up and like 8 lands in play. And his opponent thought for a long time. And his hand was land Spell Pierce after that.
Yeah.
And eventually decided, okay, I won't pay for it and put the talent in the graveyard. And I thought, there's no way I have enough aura to convince my opponent of that play.
That is fantastic. I think this start from Basser is exactly what he wants, though.
Yep.
So a Storm Chaser talent on 1, a plotted Slick Shot on 2, not vulnerable to removal. Jose being able to interact with that first piece, really good.
That's really important to keep up with the tempo for Jose.
Yeah, 100%. So we see the opt launch off from Basser without playing the Slick Shot into play. So presumably, we're waiting for a turn where we feel like we can protect it.
Yeah, it sort of signals a shift from game 1. In game 1, we saw the first Slick Shot just jammed in there on turn 3, burst
Yep.
lightning to your face, early pressure. In game 2, we're showing a little bit more restraint, slow down, and the second Slick Shot is really scary. Because if the first Slick Shot makes you keep up mana, the second one makes you keep up so much mana to try and interact. Let alone with, I mean, we can see Bass has got both Spell Pierces in hand, so
Yeah.
that's the reason for the hesitation there is he has given Jose an opening to potentially resolve either a tablet or a stock up.
Yeah. I think if you got the choice here, you really want them to resolve the stock up.
Yeah.
Whenever they get to develop the tablet on 3 without any challenge to it, you're in a lot of trouble.
Well, especially when your hand is double spell pierce, you really don't want to see tablet develop to validate that.
No. It's quickly useless. But we see a slick shot show-off drawn for Bassa and plotted. So what is that called? A gaggle of show-offs?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, a gaggle of show-offs. That is terrifying.
A murder of show-offs, perhaps? We'll see how
might
they
be
go.
a murder quite soon. That's terrifying. And when you think about it, the reason is basically Bassa's getting to invest his mana early, 2 mana each time, and then on a future turn he'll effectively have a mana advantage because he's gotten to invest his mana earlier, sink it in, and now he's spending 6 mana worth of spells without actually having to pay the mana. He's pre-spent it.
Yeah, he's taking his mana back out of the bank.
Yes, exactly.
Making you deal with it. And I'll tell you what, with haste and with +2/+0 for every spell cast, there will be a chance for these guys to get incredibly big incredibly quickly.
Absolutely, and that's why we see Jose pause and just consider how much mana do I need to represent? How many pieces of interaction do I need to hold up? Bassa looks like has drawn a tap land there. The
Spy Bluff
downside,
Canal, not bad.
the downside is we see these birds. Bassa doesn't actually have any spells to cast with them.
Well, we'll see. This is where the mind games come in. So we're starting to show, we're starting to slick show, and what are we going to do to interact with it? So the first one, yeah, you can have that for the firebending lesson, but hey, what about these other 2?
It's actually quite funny here. So we're actually only going to get into 2 because that firebending lesson cast with the second one on the stack. So no opportunity to spell pierce. Into 2, quite threatening. But also, that turn could have gone a lot worse if you're Jose.
Yeah.
You're thrilled that there wasn't an opt or a sleight of hand. Every spell from here is 4 damage.
Well, I'm thinking if I'm Jose here, well, if he doesn't have those, what's he got?
Yeah, and I think you can pretty quickly get to, okay, the 4-drop threats in Crackling Drake, or not Crackling Drake,
Crackling Drake.
What
a
year
blast
are we
from
in?
the past, mate.
Boy, Ral Crackling Wit, that is, of course, and the counter spells. You
The
have
Crackling
to think,
Otter. The Crackling Otter.
Crackling Otter, exactly. I think you are pretty keyed in on, okay, Bassa's got some form of interaction. To have nothing proactive to do there, in a post-board game, it's not like his hand is clogged with Into the Floodmaw or other cards. Those are out of the deck now.
Yeah, 100%. And we're seeing these slick shots just quickly put into exile or the graveyard, respectively, by Bassa. There's a bit of gamesmanship there.
Yeah, there is.
He's not representing the fact that he's got Spell Pierce openly. So
Yes.
that quick reaction there, Bassa has, in a prior moment, decided that if he has this here, I'm putting it straight in to show that maybe I just have a weak hand.
I think if you asked him in this moment, what spells would you counter and what won't you counter, he would have a pretty good idea already ahead of time. He knows the list of things he's willing to spend.
100%. He has an exhaustive list in his head. That guy is very intelligent.
He is. He's finally stopped playing the weird combo decks.
Yep.
Decided to pick up the good cards at 12:30 a.m., mind you, on Friday or on Saturday morning. He said he was writing out his sideboard guide for his Is It artifact deck, turned to his friends, his teammates, and said, "What am I doing? Just give me an Is It deck. Give me a prowess deck."
I'll tell you what, it's paying off.
It absolutely is. So that slick shot show off in for 5 there after a couple spells. And the Soul Guide land is actually really important. That's going to reduce Jose's ability to pull ahead through an accumulated wisdom. It also helps protect some of Bassa's larger threats from a combustion technique. Or we could see it just draw a card. Bassa needs more gas.
Yeah, this is really interesting, right? So when you cast that, right, we're targeting a lesson in the graveyard if it resolves. Jose allows it to resolve. I'm pretty sure at that point he doesn't have an accumulate wisdom.
Yeah, I have to think you'd fire it off in response. Jose's going to take this opportunity while Bassa is tapped a little bit low to cast another combustion technique, get rid of the 3rd slick shot show-off. Came out of that with 12 life. When Bassa had 3 slick shot show-offs plotted, if you could have told Jose, a couple turns from now you will have dealt with all 3 of them and still have 12 life left, he'd be thrilled.
Okay, we're just jamming the Rel here and quickly met by the Quench. An interesting line. I think, Bassa just allows Jose to sit there and develop his mana base. He knows he's going to lose anyway.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the cost here was paid really, really painfully.
Yeah, you can see Bassa weighing up his options there, knowing, okay, if I pass back, I'm just ceding time to Jose to continue to set up his mana base, to continue to develop his hand. I don't think it's getting better than this. Jose doesn't have that many counter spells. I'm just going to have to jam. And the other thing is, what you're hoping to do if you wait is to draw a land so you can play the Rel with a Spell Pierce up.
Mhm.
But with the number of lands that Jose has in play, the Spell Pierce isn't any guarantee to force through the Rel anyway.
That's also true. Yeah, and once that happened, we saw a flurry of spells from Jose. Once that commitment was made, he was very happy to go for his stock up, and then finally accumulate wisdom, cast that immediately.
Yes.
And on the other side, we're seeing a flow state committed to right away, and we're finding a Boomerang Basics and another island.
And this is often the case in these sort of blue matchups, long blue matchups.
Yeah.
We see a lot of staring back and forth at each other.
Yeah.
And as soon as one player makes the first move and taps out or low,
Yep.
the other player is incentivized to also spend a lot of their mana on their turn, which
Yeah.
means the other player can then spend a lot of their mana, and we see a quick back and forth, a flurry of spells and development.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you're absolutely right there that we go like, okay, draw go, plot
Yep.
this, not too much, not too much. Oh, 10 spells.
Yeah, and these players have played these matchups a lot, so we saw Jose untap and immediately put the stock up on the stack pretty
yeah,
much.
straight away. Good stuff from both of them. And Jose, with a full grip, he's going to be able to develop this tablet.
And this is where this is the power of tablet. We talked about how great it is on turn 3 to jump you ahead in mana.
Tell you
Now
what.
on this, a turn 1,000,000, it's probably going to draw a card.
Yeah, turn 7 or 8. I think this is turn 8 here. And yeah, still good.
Still pretty good. Still
good.
draws a card. Now, the hand hasn't developed ideally for Jose. It looks like 3 lands there and 1 removal spell.
Yeah, so he's got a little bit of action because he's got the Great Horde, the Biblioplex, which he
Yes.
found over the course of these draws. But some of the things he's really looking to hit off that accumulate wisdom and stock up are, you know, the Revelations or further copies of those cards to keep the gas going. And this leaves Bassa with a little bit of a window to start doing its own things.
Potentially does have a window, yeah. We're going to see this Otter get in for a chunk here. And Bassa's going to see a lot of cards this turn. But Jose has 4 cards, and this is where we talk about some of the gamesmanship, the showmanship. Jose presenting a strong face, I would say. And
Yeah.
if you're Bassa, you're definitely not putting him on 3 lands in hand.
Yeah, it's interesting. With someone who is willing to, you know, just jam that Rel crackling wit there, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, he might
maybe
sense
he'll just do
weakness.
it anyway. He's like, strength or weakness? I care not for these things. I'm going to cast all my spells anyway.
We're going
What-
to see a couple sleight of hands and now a flow state put on the stack. So
Yeah.
ripping through the library, drawing lots of cards. One of the things about these blue decks is, I mean, you talk about those cards that Jose is trying to draw to.
Yeah.
If you give him long enough, he will draw out of it. And it only
Oh,
really takes
100%.
one of those power spells to cascade into many more.
I mean, in my experience, when my opponents have Jeskai Revelation, it always finds another one.
Yes. Yep.
Not when I cast it, obviously.
No, of course. That's
It's the rules. But
We are going to see Hall activated here.
okay, interesting. Now that there's no removal left in the deck, presumably
Yeah.
left in the deck, it's much more free than it is in game 1. So you see it done a little bit more aggressively by players like Jose.
Yeah, in game 1, you don't really want to do it because you're kind of just giving your opponent a target for their kick burst lightning, for example.
Yep.
And so you'll often hold off a lot longer. Here, we had nothing better to do with our mana. Might as well put this in play. Speaking of things to do with our mana, the draw for the turn was accumulate wisdom.
There you go. As you just forecasted, if you let him have a bunch of draw steps, tell you what cards are in his deck, accumulate wisdom and Jeskai Revelation.
Now that wisdom has drawn 2 more lands and a removal spell, so not quite the cascade we had forecast.
Are you telling me that I got a little too excited there?
Unfortunately,
Ah, dang.
for Jose's sake. That said, he's got 6 cards in hand. From Bassa's side, pretty
It's
scary.
intimidating.
Pretty
It's
intimidating. And he leaves the Bibliopex back to block as well.
Yeah, another one to activate at end of turn. So again, he's not off action. And one of the lands that he drew was a 3rd Biblioplex. So, hey, this isn't how we drew it up. It's not efficient, but we do have things to do every turn. We are getting slightly ahead the longer the game goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, Nathan has heaps of spells to cast. So we're going to continue to build out the board. This is where we talked about how Nathan can be pretty confident Jose doesn't have any of the sweepers in, based on the way their previous games went and the discussions that these players had after that.
Yeah.
So he's willing to develop out, put more otters in play. The one thing to worry about with the otters is, of course, Iroh's demonstration. So there's 2 of those in Jose's deck, and the alternate mode on that, being able to ping creatures. We actually saw Nathan hold up for several turns in a row, holding up an opt when he had multiple otters in play to protect against exactly that. So it will definitely be on his mind.
Yeah, and it makes your attacks less efficient, all these other things that you could potentially commit to. You're going to choose not to if you don't have enough resources to be certain of it.
Yep.
So we have the 3rd otter hitting play. Looks a lot like Ant. And, okay, so 4 spells cast this turn for prowess for the non-summoning sick otter.
There's a large otter coming
It's an
across.
attack for 5, but we have a combustion technique.
with plenty of lessons in the graveyard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I think this is a 9 damage combustion technique.
Yeah, okay. I think that might get the job done.
Yeah, probably going to get the job done. Yeah, quick count, just to double check. Yeah, okay, my Ultra's dead.
Yeah, turns out.
You got me.
Turns out you got him.
Okay.
We're preferencing some tokens over others, apparently. Okay, so an opt in that hand, along with those 2 spell pierces we've had for quite a while now, a slider hand, which is now hitting the stack. There's also 2 Color Storm Stallions. So Bassa is sort of... It just seems like he's ready to commit with a bunch of haste threats on a turn where he feels like he can.
Actually, I think Bassa would have loved to have seen it land off this sleight of hand. Because he's got so many spells in hand, and a lot of his spells find more spells.
Yeah.
He would actually like a little bit more mana. Jose has built up a pretty significant mana advantage now.
Yep.
And we're actually going to see the opt here. Bassa recognizing, you know what? I would really, really like to hit a land drop. I don't think this spell pierce is going to be super impactful now.
Yep.
Finds a land, but not an untapped one. So there is a window here for Iroh's Demonstration to be very good.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, that's super interesting how you drew it up, because we had that mana up, that opt up, and then Bassa's like, you know what? I need to win this game through casting a bunch more spells. It's not going to happen with my current board state. If you have to wipe it and that's what has to be done, fine. We're going to do the other stuff.
And also knowing he has backup threats in hand, right? There's another talent. There's a couple Color Storm Stallions. So recognizing that he has another wave to deploy after that, but also feeling the pressure of, as this game goes longer and longer, it does tilt in Jose's favor, I think.
Yeah, 100%. So Grand hits the battlefield, a super senior discount on right now.
Yep, quite a lot. That will turbocharge Jose's hand, and in some ways open up the potential for these almost Storm-like turns, where we just chain stock up into Accumulate Wisdom, into a Revelation, and draw a lot of cards at once.
Okay, Color Storm Stallion is committed by Bassa, and we're off to the races with our horsies.
We sure are. This is the big innovation from Bassa, the big decision he made. 4 Color Storm Stallions in the main deck, really saying, I think Prowess and Izzet is going to be really popular, and the control decks, he said.
Yep.
That's where this card shines. That's what I'm betting on.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, we saw also Brett Gervin's also on 4. So 2 people staying together, testing together.
Yes.
Presumably, there's an amount of decision-making around that has resulted in both of them making top 8.
The way the story was told to me was at 12:30 on Saturday morning, 12:30 a.m.
Yep.
Nathan decided, as we discussed, to play Prowess. Pulled up the latest challenge-winning, Magic Online challenge-winning Prowess list.
Yeah.
Turned to his teammates, Riley and Brett, who were both on the top 8, and said, what would you change about this? And they said, here's the few cards, including up to 4 horses. He made that change and submitted it.
And they're gone 3 for 3 of the 3 of them.
They sure have. So
Crazy.
Clearly some good minds there making some great decisions that have paid off for all of them.
Okay, so we have 2 3/3 Otters and a 4/4 Color Storm Stallion, representing 2 mana up, as well as having committed that extra Otter to the board. Grand's out of the way now. Senior discount is off, full price only. And we have the 2 Great Halls of the Biblioplex here as blockers. They're not going to be big enough to kill an Otter by themselves, so we're seeing a double block.
Yeah, even only 1 spell in hand. So once you price in the fact that you have to assume Nathan has at least 1 spell to grow these Otters, forced into the double block, will cast Combustion Technique, targeting the Color Storm Stallion, pay the ward, of course.
Yep, so, okay, so this Otter's getting bigger when we see any spells cast back. We want to get to 6 points. That's probably too many spells for... Well, it's definitely too many spells for Bassa to have on 2 mana, given there's no free ones. But what are we seeing with the Color Storm Stallion? It's just going to die.
Interesting that we're not going to see a spell. We're just going to let the Otter die. Didn't want to fire off a Spell Pierce to trade with the Great Hall at all.
Interesting. So I think that now that the Grand's out of the way, we're still on quite a lot of mana.
Boy, there's another Accumulate Wisdom. I think that's the 4th one. Hopefully this one draws some more spells. We haven't seen a Revelation yet. Okay, there's the 4th Wisdom.
There's the 4th one, and we have the Emeritus of Ideation.
That's a big deal here. That's a big, scary threat. Although...
I've heard Ancestral Recall quite good, so we went all in on it.
Yeah, I've heard that card's pretty good. And Ancestral with a 5/5 as well to block.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Pretty good. And if you ever get to attack with it, you probably get to cast it again.
Yeah. Fantastic stuff. So, okay, we have... How many lands is that? We have 8 lands and then 2 mana from the tablet as well.
Well... We haven't played land yet either this turn, so...
Now it's 9.
Now it's 9.
Okay, are we activating our Mistrise Village?
Looks like we're going to make an uncounterable. So we're really respecting Get Out here, which is the only counter spell that can be used from Bassa's deck on an Emeritus.
Yep, the hard counter, though.
Yeah, it is a hard counter, though. Really important.
Okay, so we're adding the traditional way from the tablets, and not the double mana. I think so. Clearly, we're valuing the coloured mana a lot more than we're valuing the amount of mana. Given Jose's hand and what we're doing with the turn, it makes a lot of sense to me.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, this one enters prepared, which also means that he has that extra spell to pump these Great Halls should he need to.
Yes, has the extra spell to pump the Great Halls and hopefully draw 3 cards as well. But importantly, the trigger from the Great Halls to pump them, that one can't be countered. So even if we, from Basta's side, want to spend a couple of spell pierces to counter the Ancestral Recall, the Halls will still grow.
Well, look at this amazing patience from Basta with these spell pierces paying off, though. If he can get rid of this A-Call for the low price of having 2 cards in his hand dead for a long time, I mean, it is a much better exchange than he was going to get otherwise.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I probably would have fired off one of those last turn to remove a Hall.
Yeah.
I'm impatient. I probably would have done that. And I'd have egg on my face this coming turn.
100%. 100%. I'm the same way. But what we do see is the Eddie Merc Crab. That is an interesting one.
Oh, boy. Now, that won't be able to tap down the Emeritus because it has Ward 2. But it will tap both of the lands that Jose has.
Okay, so Jose, respecting the concept of those spell pierces, or at least one.
Okay, now he has drawn a Revelation. This is important. If he can get one more turn, there's a Revelation in his hand. Looks like there's a removal spell there.
Yeah,
so
I think it's a firebending technique.
Boy, we might be able to fire off a firebending lesson on one of the otters while Nathan is tapped out. You've got a blocker for the crab, in theory.
But we're only on 5, and it'll cost us a life to do so. I think it's still worth it. 4 damage from one of these otters seems very likely with a Burst Lightning in the graveyard.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think leveling up the talents. We haven't seen it all game, but I think this might be the spot for it, either for a Burst Lightning. I believe there's also Boomerang Basics down there, and we have just enough mana for Boomerang Basics, pick up Boomerang Basics, cast it, and pay the Ward 2 on the Emeritus. And I'm sure Jose will have snuffed that out. So he'll have snuffed out. If I tap out here, Nathan has a guaranteed way to finish this game. So what can I represent? What can I put in his mind that makes him think twice and not take that line?
Yeah, it's super interesting. And I think, both players, amazing skill level. Jose making sure he checks every checks everything, dots every I, crosses every T. Whereas Basa, the amount of patience on not only these spell pierces, but this development over the middle of the game, which was always a risk, but something he needed to do given the texture of his hand.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this game start quite quickly with the 3 slick shot shots very early on and thought maybe that'll be the way this game ends.
Turns out, no. Turns out, no.
I think between the 3 of them, they got in for 8 points of damage. And then we went into this long game that Nathan was eventually able to close out right before Jose was able to resolve a Revelation. I do think those Revelations are the key to this matchup because it's just so much value. It's so many different things. It's the life cushion to give you time to resolve the rest of your spells. That is the big turning point. Jose there, just 1 turn short.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. He looked at all our cards. You can't blame him.
We sure did.
In that metric.
I mean, we saw all 4 accumulate wisdoms. We saw at least 1 stock up.
And an Ancestral Recall, and that was what finally found it. So he was probably, into his deck about 30 cards when he found the first one. So these are just the things that happen sometimes playing Magic. But Bassa playing to his outs there the entire time down, making sure he drew those lands, hit those land drops, developed that value in hand, and had the threats to close.
Yeah, and on the draw, we actually see Jose had taken out one of the Revelations. Recognizing that, you know what, Nathan can come out really fast. I don't want to get my hand clogged with 7 drops.
Yeah, there we go. So how are you feeling about that at that point, though? It looks like I can't see the second Day of Judgment. Maybe he's opted for 1 Day of Judgment to catch up to the Colorstorm Stallions. It's hard for me to see, though.
I think they're both there.
All right, let's have a look as he
1,
flipped
2,
to... Oh,
they're
one's
both
just a
there.
foil. It got me.
He's going to bring the second Emeritus in, it looks like, for this game number 3. And the other thing we saw him flicking around at the start there was the 1 Ghost Vacuum and the Avengers Disassemble. So the smaller sweeper, flicking around, having it think about those as well. I will say the Revelations, they are the most powerful card, but you know that post-board Bassa has multiple spell pierces, has a flash freeze, and trading your 7 mana spell for a cheap counter spell, that's a really big blow. So it puts a lot of pressure on you to resolve the spell, and that is one of the ways you can lose the game.
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, I think one of the things that's so exciting about this is that Prowess deck, or one of the reasons I actually don't mind covering it, despite how prevalent it is in the field, is that it's actually kind of 3 decks. It's an aggro deck, it's a mid-range deck, and it's a control deck.
Yes.
And we saw basically all 3 modes from Bassa in that game.
Yeah, we sure did. It's actually one of the things that's interesting about it. I think we were discussing before that prowess versus other things is perhaps less interesting than the prowess mirror matches.
I think that's true. I mean, I really like it versus these control decks as well, though.
You're right. Sorry. Steam vents versus non-steam vents is less interesting than steam vents mirrors.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of matchups in this field that I really like today. A lot of, we can't put everything on coverage, fellas.
There's been some sweet things, though. We
there's
did
been
get some sweet decks on coverage.
We got some amazing stuff on coverage. There were some more amazing matches if you walked up and down the tables, trod the boards like we do. And I think that, it's just been a really good event for good decks, and cool interactions. This one, though, this is for pride.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, don't forget the 20,000.
Pride and a
That's
lot of
also
money.
important.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But bragging rights mostly.
Mostly bragging rights. I
Mostly
mean,
bragging
knowing
rights.
these two, they have a standard deal where they'll never cut, they'll never chop, they'll never decide to do. I mean, they've cost me a lot of money because they wouldn't prize split and then. Well, I mean, I guess we decided by playing Magic and they beat me, but
yeah, well, what could you have done? There's nothing you could do really.
I could be good or something, but that's not going to happen.
No.
Not when faced with either of these two. So we have Jose now going onto the play for Game 3.
And that's a big difference, I think. We saw him change his deck a little bit. Just having a little bit more breathing room, less likelihood of Nathan being able to pressure him early. You talked about Izzet as multiple different decks, and that is sort of the conundrum that Jose faces in this matchup, right?
Yeah,
he has to
100%.
prepare for both this aggressive prowess deck that comes out swinging, can end the game as early as turn 4 with aggressive starts, but also for the mid-range or control deck that is happy to play long 12, 13, 14 turn games with him. And I think that tension pulls him in multiple ways in both his play and how he sideboards each match. On the play, he can breathe a little bit easier. The first deck, that aggressive deck, less likely to appear.
Yeah, 100%. So we from Bassa's side, we're still hoping for the Storm Chaser's talent into Slick Shot and all the rest of it. But Jose's like, hey, you're committing mana to that first. I get to do things like have my Firebending lesson, trade for your turn, and then do an Accumulate Wisdom if you plot your Slick Shot, instead of having to keep that 2 mana up until your end step.
And conversely, this is the first time we've seen Jose start off with Gran. This card turbocharges this deck.
And a sleight of hand only from Bassa. So, I mean, the advantage meter, if we still had it, way on the Jose side.
Swinging wildly towards Jose. We actually saw Bassa keep in at least once Burst Lightning last game to respect the Gran.
Yeah.
And this is really tricky, right? Jose doesn't have very mean creatures. Burst Lightning doesn't have any other targets in the deck other than Jose's face.
Yeah.
But the flip side is when you don't have the Burst Lightning and Jose has Gran, especially on the play, it threatens to run away with the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Where you want it, how you want to do it. We're not making our second land drop yet. We're seeing another card and we're putting something into the bin. We have another Gran there. That is always a potential one to get rid of, but it just depends on whether you think they've got the removal or not.
Yeah, it's such a good card that you almost are happy to keep the second one as insurance on the theory that if the first one lives, you'll probably win anyway, and you can discard it later on. But if it doesn't live, you'd love to keep the second one in hand.
I don't mind that line, actually. I might start using that in my own gameplay.
We're going to say discarded anyway. Jose knows he's going to see so many cards, and
we have a stock up, we have a Firebending lesson, and I think a combustion technique.
And then abandoned attachments is the last card. So we'll get a play no matter what this turn. If Bassa plays a threat, we can respond to it. If he doesn't, if he wants to plot like this, that's fine. We're going to dig deeper in our deck and put another lesson in the graveyard, start to get towards potentially the seniors discount.
Yeah. I think, we can get there next turn if we full commit to it. There's no way of knowing if that's really the best option for Jose before he draws the cards. But I'll tell you what.
Really tricky choice what you want to discard here, actually.
I really like getting the second lesson in, because getting the third lesson in is an option off the attack.
Yep, I agree. And then ideally, you get the third lesson in, you can cast your 2 mana stock up and hold up a removal spell next turn. Yeah, this is perfect.
Okay, with those 2 draws, I think we're turning on the
senior discount. So we're going to get to turn, so much spot removal and card advantage. So now we're going to see Jose get in, quickly discard one of these lessons, just get to cast Steam Vents and then also interact on the same turn. Gran effectively producing 2 mana on this third turn.
That's crazy.
You know how we talked about how Tablet's really good because it produces 2 mana?
Yeah.
Gran does that as well while looting.
Pretty crazy that you get to just play both in the same deck. Whoever worked out that, what was kind of divergent archetypes of, there were blue-red control decks, but we had the Revelation deck and we had the Lessons deck. Whoever just decided to do the mashup
Yep. And I think
I mean, they're responsible for a lot of pain.
there's a few things that enable that, but one of the big ones is Great Hall of the Biblioplex. We've seen this card all weekend. Just, it's a little bit unassuming. It sits there, it produces multiple colors of mana, really tying together the mana bases of the 4-color control deck and this Jeskai Lessons deck to enable you to have this really powerful top-end spell. And then it turns around and attacks for lethal as well.
Yeah, it slices, it dices. I mean, with a deck like this that you have only 23 lands in it, getting all your colors at the right points is so significant. You have to pay a little bit of life for it, but you're happy to do it.
Can we reflect on how crazy it is that this control deck, this hard draw-go control deck, with a 7-drop, an iconic 7-drop instant in it, they only play 23 lands, and
It's
that's
crazy,
fine.
right?
That's
Yeah.
good for them.
Yeah, yeah.
And 4 of the lands are creature lands that do things.
Yeah,
It's incredible, and it is really a testament to the flexibility and the power of the decks.
it is great deck building.
Now, Nathan has found the one threat that actually works through all of Jose's removal at the moment.
That is true. Low-key punished for discarding that combustion technique over the firebending lesson. But at the same time, without that information available, you had to make a call.
And I think that was the really interesting thing, right? Jose, I think, on that turn was always going to discard one of his point removal spells. But working out which one he wanted to keep was complicated, and knowing that there was the slick shot already plotted, that makes the 1 mana removal spell more appealing. It didn't help that then he proceeded to immediately draw 2 more firebending lessons. And
Yeah, I mean,
have a
that's
whole,
always a thing that can happen.
you know.
But
the
hey, with
step
all this
also-
looting,
Yeah.
what do you reckon? Like, it's not that impactful in a lot of ways. We've drawn the Accumulate Wisdom now as well, so we can stack up by 3. We can go for our Grand attack, maybe find that combustion technique.
Still slightly awkward to try and remove this horse, right? Because if we have to target it twice, that's pretty bad. Just having to pay wards so much.
Yeah.
Instead, I think we're going to see Jose rip through his deck here with the Accumulate Wisdom, with potentially another Abandoned Attachments, try and find an answer. Or just find more ramp to get to this
the other
Revelation
option
faster.
we have, right? Let's say, like, and I just want to mention this. What if we just try and make our next 2 land drops and just kick the firebending lesson?
Yep, that's also definitely an option.
I just wonder if are you taking too much damage at that point?
I think we found a combustion technique.
All right, it doesn't matter then.
And this Grand just produces so much mana
It is
every
incredible.
turn. And we also have another Accumulate Wisdom, so I guess we'll draw 3 more cards while we're here, maybe?
Yeah, yeah. Who
Okay.
needs artist talent? You know what I mean?
Iroh's Demonstration.
Okay, I mean equivalent cards in this aspect, given that we will not be getting any value out of that being in the graveyard.
I think Jose might have 7 cards in hand after all of that.
I mean, if he didn't go to discard, I would, as a betting man, I would have guessed so.
Turns out when you get to cast Ancestral Recall, it's really easy to keep your hand full.
Yeah. Card draw, synergistic with card draw.
I think this game has been a great example, a great demonstration of why Grand and this Lessons deck is so powerful. The raw power to just overwhelm. Nathan had a really good turn, right? He led on a cantrip, then he plotted a slick shot, then he played a horse, now he's played another horse, and he's just going to get overwhelmed because all of his cards cost more than Jose's.
Yeah, I mean, so Jose happy to take the 4 damage here, and one of the reasons for that, we know he's already got a Revelation in hand. Okay, we're going to try for the firebending lesson now. We don't want to take the extra damage from the attack triggers. So
Really heads up to not do that pre-damage because this spell pierce represented 3 damage if you do it
if you do it at the wrong timing. Yeah, it's pretty significant. Now, we have the Emeritus of Ideation that can come out now. We have an Accumulate Wisdom if we need to find cards. Our options are virtually endless, including blocking with our Grand. What are you valuing here?
I want more cards. I'm going to cast Accumulate Wisdom. And part of the reason for that is I would love to see a tablet at this point. It's effectively mana neutral on the turn you cast it, and then it lets you absolutely explode next turn.
Yeah.
Also looking for more removal, because these are threatening. The 2 threats in play, we do want to remove them.
Well, if you don't deal with them, and, the Prowess deck has been pretty famous all day about not giving you much time to deal with the threats. So if you don't have the removal right now, you're going to need to find a way to get it.
That is one of the worst hits off the tablet. There's not many quenches in the deck, not many counter spells. That's pretty common across all the Jeskai lists, and this is a big part of the reason why. From Jose's side now, it looks really good for him, right? We've been talking about how everything is humming. The one thing is starting to run low on removal spells. We saw him discard a couple earlier with the firebending lessons, and now he desperately needs more.
Okay, so we're going to go looking with the Abandoned Attachments, which makes sense. See another 2 cards for 1 mana. Not bad. One of them's a quench.
Yep, we can still attack with Grand to look at another card. We've got a red mana floating, though not much to spend it on. Having a look at the actual hand.
Like actual literal nothing to spend it on right now. Really awkward. I think that being cut on color here, in addition to the, after seeing so many cards, I should say, really tough not to see a removal spell.
I believe we still haven't played the land this turn.
Yeah, but we're down to 1 now. Okay, 1 blue, no removal spells yet. I think at this point we're not really going to be attacking with the Grand.
Yeah, I think we might be on chumping a horse.
Jumping a horse, yeah. Maybe we leave a blue up to try and answer something with the quench, or make him spend mana to pay through the quench and not commit a bunch of spells to the board. But I mean, we're really at a survive the next turn bot for Jose.
Yes.
And if he does, maybe we can get to Revelation out.
The problem with this, of course, or the worry if you're Jose, is you've actually somehow been backed into a corner. As he goes to discard, he has been backed into a corner by these threats and the pressure on his life total where, say we get through this turn, that's the goal, right? The goal is to get through the turn and then play Revelation. But we're really betting on that Revelation resolving now, and this is where the counterspells from Bassa can buy you that one turn reprieve, and that's all you need when you have a horse and a bird in play.
Yeah, 100%. So, all right, Bassa, a very important draw step here. What is he going to get off the top?
And this is what you talked about.
River Pie Verge.
This is what you talked about, that Emeritus, right? We could have played it. We couldn't have done anything else with it. We didn't have the mana to cast the spell. But just a 5/5 blocker and a 5/5 flyer with ward, maybe that was what we wanted to buy an extra turn. This is where the deck gets really complicated. I personally love casting all these spells. I thought Jose digging deeper, trying to find the removal spell was a great line. But now he's definitely under pressure.
Well, this is one of the things that Prowess will do to you once you have threats in play. So if you don't answer their threats, they're like, hey, I'm actually just going to spin my wheels for a turn and get incredibly ahead by doing it. I'm getting ahead on cards with flow state. I'm looking for the right things to do later in the game should you be able to answer this. And if you don't actually interact with this right now, you're just straight dead.
And we've seen here an attempt at lethal. We're going to try and bounce the Grand for what would be lethal, and this is where the quench is vital.
And it does work, though. It does work, so that's really important here.
And more than that, you learn that Bassa doesn't have a spell piece in hand,
100%.
which means if you get to untap, the Revelation is good to go.
Yeah, and with the mana in play, even with the dead Grand, what that's going to mean is that we can both do it and pay through the ward on the Colored Storm Stallion if we have a non-painful land in hand.
Yeah, very important there to be able to pay the ward. We are going to take 9 damage from this slick shot, and the horse is going to run over our grandmother.
It's just like the old country. Okay, so 9 damage from the slick shot in the air. We're down to 2 life points.
The other thing is we don't currently have a white land in play that is pain-free.
That is true. Good thing we're on 2, I guess.
There it is.
Sundown Pass, just as we needed it. And we're seeing the tap out here by the looks.
And you said we're at 2, not for much longer. This is part of the power of this Jesco Revelation. The life gain, much like Sphinx's Revelation in years gone by, the life gain just gives you the time to use all of the other resources that you've accrued.
Okay, so which one is which? So Color Storm to hand, that makes a lot of sense. It is more mana to recommit. It gets blocked by the monks. Slick shot show off. Please get out of here.
You talked about how the first Revelation is often just trying to draw 2 and buy time for the second Revelation. This is what the monks are for. These monks are on blocking duty.
Oh my god, a slick shot show off of the top there for Bassa. Does he have the spells to go with it? It doesn't look like it.
He's got the 6th land, so we could see slick shot, and then we need 2 more spells.
But it looks like we've got a crab and a rel. So
well, the crab is interesting. We can main phase that to tap down some blockers potentially if we want to get in with the horse.
Yeah, we could get in for 3, and then, you know, just in the pretty powerful position of having a 5/5 and a 3/3 that scales.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
The other option would be we could play slick shot, commit the Ral, in for 3 of the slick shot, and then we have a Ral on board. We can make an Otter. It doesn't pressure the monks, so the monks will be there to potentially attack back.
Yeah. So this is when we're getting into these positions with this control deck and its ability to do damage once it turns a corner. It doesn't just affect the life total here, although Bassa is only on 11. Ral being on a limited amount of loyalty, whether it be 5 or 6 if he can find a spell to cast off it, is still going to be significant for these monks being in play and scaling with the spells that Jose will cast.
Which is a crazy thing to say. I just want to say, Ral traditionally known as the planeswalker that's impossible to kill with combat damage because it gains loyalty so fast.
Yeah.
But the monks have one way to do it.
That's absolutely true. And we have the Eddie Merc crab in hand if we want to keep it up, and it seems like we do. Are we stopping on upkeep or are we going to wait? It looks like we're waiting.
We're going to wait, but I think I agree with you. Well, it's really interesting. We could be trying to tap these attackers. We might also just be waiting and trying to sneak it in on instep.
Yeah, maybe an ambush.
Yep. We'll tap any blockers that Jose has left back and then come across for 5.
I mean, this is where the Emeritus is really powerful, right? That Ward 2 keeping Jose in this game if he reads the situation correctly.
Yeah. And he has got the second one in hand. We saw him discard one earlier, but he's found the second one. Has a lot of mana as well. I believe might also have a second Revelation there.
There is a second Revelation.
This is where it's really tricky. how much do you read into Nathan's hand? Do you think he has a counter spell? The other option is we have a Mysterized Village in hand. So we can make it uncounterable, but that costs us 2 mana. That's not nothing.
It is not nothing. That means we're not going to cast a second spell. We don't have a follow-up removal spell in those cases. The other thing that we can do is that we can potentially just, hey, let's commit to nothing and go to attacks.
Yes.
And if you want to do that, hey, it's pretty bold, but that is how we're going to get through this game. It's not going to be because we're going to make it last another 6 turns at this point. Everything is very threatening on both sides. Jose is in a potential range to close this out himself.
There's a potentially really nice window there if we go to combat, and if Vassal lets us attack, we can attack with 1 monk and then cast our Revelation uncounterably to bounce the Otter and deal 4 to the Ral, and then the monk comes across for the last 2 points.
It looks like we're making an uncountable Revelation. That is the choice, so we're targeting both things in play, I imagine.
I imagine we do want to bounce this Ral, yeah. The other option would be to send 4 damage at it and try and attack it down, which is what it looks like we're going to do. This will run into that crab, and we'll get to keep the Ral in play.
The crab is going to be a lot better here. Now, maybe this is fine to Jose. He's still going to have blockers up. He's gained the extra 4 life. He's drawn the extra 2 cards. Maybe this buffer is going to get him through it. Enough for the Emeritus of Ideation to be the real finishing piece.
Yeah, as you say, try and use the Revelations to draw to the next one, or to draw to the next Ancestral Recall, in this case.
Okay, so Eddie Merc Crab, just as predicted, tapping down those monks. Jose out of mana, but not out of options yet.
Quick check to see what he's discarding to hand size for the 2nd turn in a row.
Oh yeah. Yeah, why not?
As you do.
Yeah. Never unlucky. Never unlucky. All right. Color Storm Stallion, Slick Shot, Steam Vents. That is not a hit for Bassa. No Storm Chase talent, really important in this game.
Yep.
Even if it was dealt with, the Otter was dealt with, let's say, no Boomerang Basics, all that sort of stuff, having one in play just to level here would be super significant.
It would be. We talked about this. These Jeskai decks, they're really blue-red decks. Very few white cards in the deck. And that means they don't actually have a way to answer a talent once it's in play. They can't deal with the enchantment part, and that's free to continue to gain value by leveling up.
Yeah, 100%. So instead, Bassa knows he's in a position that, hey, maybe he's going to get value in future turns, but in this turn, he needs a full commit to the board. He needs Jose to be in a defensive posture to use these monks as blockers in order for him to find instants or sorceries.
It's really interesting working out how much to attack with, because if you send everything, Jose might be able to work out blocks that leave him enough monks left to attack back for lethal.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 2 spells, right? So we're making the Otter here. We got our 2 blockers back. Color Storm Stallion.
And Nathan does play the land.
Steam Vents into play. Rel's not on enough loyalty to loot that one away at the moment. So just a full commit to that, and then hoping to draw some gas off the top and cast multiple spells in a turn.
But this means for Jose, he knows the coast is clear. No cards in hand for Nathan. If he can find a way to lethal this turn, cast enough spells, remove some blockers, he's clear for takeoff. And of course, hiding down the land row.
Who is it but the Great Hall?
The Great Hall. Relevant. Could come across. It effectively has prowess when we're talking about damage. And the finger counting is out. That's scary.
You're never happy. You're never
good.
happy when you see it. So we have another tablet in hand. So it's not mana neutral, but it's pretty close. It'll see another card.
Good.
If it's a removal spell, we're in the money. There is already a combustion technique there.
Yep.
So a removal spell here will do a lot of work. Let's see what it is. It is a
Grand.
Grand.
That's a nice one too.
That is a lot of mana. That is a lot of mana here.
1 spell cast. Even if you can't remove all of the blockers, we can definitely grow these monks to the point where they attack quite nicely through the blockers.
Well, at what point? So they're all 2/2s at the moment, right? Bassa is dead to them being 4/4s. Are you brave enough not to block with the Color Storm Stallion?
No, absolutely not. Although, you might end up with your back against the wall to such a degree that you have no choice.
Yeah, 100%. So can you leverage that information from Jose's perspective to pick up a trade that you want, keep this combustion technique for something like the Eddie Merc Crab or the Slick Shot, something that can really slam back?
Very interesting. We haven't got a great look at Jose's hand. Looks like Emeritus, Spell Pierce, Combustion Technique, and lands. So despite having 6 cards in hand, despite discarding the hand size 3 times in the last 2 turns,
Yeah.
the hand is actually not the strongest ever.
Jose has been very talented at drawing lands this last couple of games, but I'll tell you what, having the utility to do whatever you want once you draw it off the top, a stock up into a Revelation is a place that we'd really like to be. So We're thinking about, well, looks like we've floated 2 red mana that can be used on instant sorceries.
Yeah, notably that mana can't be used to pay for the ward. That's separate to casting the instant or sorcery. There's
Yep.
actually not a ton of ways to use the second red mana, as far as I can see.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if there is a little bit of a bluff going on here.
Yeah, so he's still got 1 red floating here, but I don't actually think he has a way to spend it.
Interesting stuff.
This is really interesting. Do you attack? As it happens, Jose actually doesn't have a spell to cast. If he attacked with all of the monks and Nathan didn't block, he doesn't actually have a way to get across for
Yeah,
lethal.
but this is the information advantage that we
Yep.
have from our omnipotent
I mean,
viewpoint.
this is the mind game. And I can't imagine in Bassa's seat, if I'm in Bassa's seat, that I'm bold enough to not block the 3 monks that are lethal to me if there's any spell.
It does look like this is just a way to get Ral off the board. So we're facing down an Otter, an Eddie Merc crap on the ground, and a Slick Shot show off in the air, but no cards in hand for Bassa. What
This
is it
is
off the top? He won't
very
show us.
scary.
He won't show Jose either.
This is very scary for Jose. Putting on a strong face, but that Spell Pierce is not going to be great. Not going to do a ton. We didn't cast the Emeritus, and then our hand is 3 lands. We're having a show of strength, but there's not much behind it.
No. I mean, these guys are so good at positioning themselves. It is a boomerang basics to bounce our
Oh.
own Eddie Merc crab. We get 1 trigger on each of the cards and all the creatures left in play. And that is going to be enough to tap down the Grand and the Monk. What is he going to draw off
so
this
then if
boomerang
we
basics
come-
as well?
So we've got 3, 4, 5 in play at once. Every spell is 3 damage. So if we draw a spell here, we can put Jose to 1.
And we don't. We just attack with the Slick Shot.
That's a big tell that we didn't draw a proactive spell we could cast.
Yeah, super interesting.
Now we're going to get to tap down a couple of the monks with the crab, would be my expectation here.
Yeah, you don't want to tap the Grand. That is a tap trigger.
Yeah.
So if you do tap it with any other method, they do get the loot anyway.
Ooh, That's a big draw. Combustion Technique off the top. Being able to remove the bird potentially, which I think that Slick Shot show off by far the most threatening, right? The crab is going to have a hard time getting through all of these monks.
Yep, that's true.
The bird, on the other hand, very, very scary. This is truly on a razor's edge for this game.
I 100% agree with you, mate. The Emeritus of Ideation, are you going to pre-combat that to represent having another spell? What are you going to do? There's so many different choices these players are all making, even though we've noted that Jose's drawn a lot of lands instead of a lot of spells. Everything's so modal. There's so many different lines here. Let's see what he commits to.
I mean, the Misrise Village, great example here.
Yeah.
Jose has to think really hard. Okay, I know Nathan drew a card he couldn't cast here. What is the chance that that is a get out?
I mean,
Because that's a really bad time for me if his last card is get out and my
Yeah.
Emeritus gets counted.
well, we haven't seen it. It totally could be, right? And we think he's left them in the deck.
Yeah, I would assume so. So he is going to cast it. That is prepared. That comes down. The big flyer with an Ancestral Recall.
Yeah, it's got the ward on it. So now, with that in play, are you forcing Nathan to commit to tapping down monks on attack? What are you going to do when we move to combat?
It's really interesting. I think, yeah, it looks like Jose's hand is halfway there to the pass. He's halfway.
But he's done that to me before. And then he's going like, oh, actually, no, I've got you.
You know the crab is there. You know it's coming down. The other thing is, now the crab can tap down the Emeritus.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go straight to combat, you force him to make a choice. Looks like he's just going to pass. He says, I'm going to hold back. The other thing Jose has realized is, okay, maybe I have a good attack with these monks. Maybe, you only have an Otter back. Probably I could get some damage in.
Sure.
But every attacker I commit is 1 less blocker. And I actually think if I get to untap with my Emeritus,
Yep.
I'm so far ahead. Because I'm going to get to recall myself, attack, recall again.
Yeah.
And basically, I just don't want to die. I've only got 6 life. I want to do everything I can to make sure I get another turn. And that includes no attacking with these monks.
I think that is a great line. Every turn that goes past is probably advantaged in Jose's sort of way. So it seems like we're targeting the Emeritus of Ideation, paying the ward, and I think it was a monk as well.
I believe. And I think this is where we're going to take advantage of this timing to cast our Combustion Technique with Spell Pierce back up. Now that Nathan has tapped extra mana for the ward, we know that even if he has a counterspell, even if he has some counterspell in his hand to protect one of his creatures, we've got the Spell Pierce back up and he can't pay for it.
Yep.
And that's a really important window because as soon as he untaps, he's got heaps of land and the Spell Pierce drastically drops in value again.
100%. And we see him wavering over the choice there. Is it the Eddie Merc Crab? Is it the Slick Shot Show Off? Which guy are we tapping? Which one of our friends
really
are we
important.
making sure are tapped? I think that the combustion technique going to the slick shot there was absolutely correct. Had he pointed at the Eddie Merck crab, it would have been a bit of a punt. Everything on the ground is a lot easier to block.
Now we got a glimpse there for Nathan. It is just 2 islands in hand.
Tell you what, he's not representing like it is, isn't he?
No, he's surveying the board, having a think. I
Okay.
think that might be the final nail, though. Multiple ancestral recalls.
Yeah, it looks
gonna
like
be
we're-
difficult to overcome.
We're wrapping it up by the looks of this. Nathan Basser on 11, 2 great hauls in play on Jose's side. This is actually going to end super quickly once it starts to. And Nathan with not much left to do. A little unfortunate. A couple of dead draws in a row takes him from what looked like favourite a couple of turns ago, maybe 4 turns ago given these sort of decks. But Jose stared down the barrel of the gun there, 2 life points, revelating his way back into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't the first revelation. It wasn't the second one. But in the end, it was the Emeritus that I think finally put the nail in this coffin.
Okay, so Spy Bluff Canal is tapped along with an island. We might be stocking up here.
I think we also drew another combustion technique potentially, but we'll draw some cards first.
I think it is a combustion technique.
And not the most amazing stock up. Never mind, he found Ancestral Recall at the end.
It looked pretty boring until the last 2. Okay, senior discount already online. Don't need that grand. Threw a couple of dead cards for us as well. Relatively good in the end.
Nathan just quickly checking to make sure there are 3 lessons in the graveyard.
Yeah, we better count them.
Just want to double check.
You can't trust them. Okay.
Jose here just going through the motions. You want to make really sure. There's a lot of money on the line. It's very important to just double and triple check
One
that
of the
you
benefits
have.
of our untimed rounds here.
Yep, absolutely. You can take a second to breathe and just double check, triple check, dot your I's, cross your T's, make sure there's no way. I think we might see Mr. Roosevelt used here on combustion technique, potentially.
Oh, sure.
Just
why
to
not?
really guarantee that one.
When in Rome, hey?
We're going to actually start with the 0 mana,
Oh, sure,
net
sure.
0 mana tablet as well, because why
Okay.
not?
Spy Bluff Canal, not a card we need, but a card we
Nope.
are happy not to draw next turn should we decide to take even longer to win this
Sam,
game.
I have something to tell you.
Oh, yes.
I don't think there will be a next turn.
You think it's over now?
I think Jose might find a way to victory this turn.
Okay, so we need to call an ambulance, but not for Jose, for Basser.
No, definitely for Basser.
All right.
We found another revelation there, just in case you wanted to do that whole dance again as well.
Yeah, I'm keen on it. Why not?
I mean, why not? On the way out. At this point. At this point, I think all Jose needs to do is cast Combustion Technique on that last order.
Yeah,
But
he doesn't know
while
that
we're
he doesn't have
here-
an Eddie Merck crab, so I think going through the motions here and making sure that we do this the most efficient way possible. Well, Basser has done a great job of representing like he had something. And Jose, hey, fool me or not, I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to make sure that we go through this the right direction. We're going to get this done with a revelation by the looks of it.
Yeah, I think so. We're just going to try and lock out every single possible way this could go wrong. And I think Crab is the big one.
Basser performatively goes through his islands, looks at his options and says, hey, buddy, good job. 1-1 for the tournament. You get to progress. Tell you what, great prizes for Basser. He had a fantastic weekend. He's done really well, not just with us on coverage, but also in the gameplay. Really tight play. And I'll tell you what, these are the things that can happen to you too if you decide to put down those artifacts and pick up some Izzet space.
Absolutely. And for Jose, moving on to the semi-finals, he's attempting to win both tournaments this weekend. Go back to back.
Yeah.
It's still on the cards for him. We will see him next round in the semi-finals.
All right. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sam. This is Ian. We'll catch you next time.